So'z Turkiya Respublikasi Prezidenti hurmatli Recep Tayyip Erdogan janob olilariga beriladi. Marhamat.
In today's news, the Palestinian conflict has taken a new turn with Turkey, formerly the Ottoman Empire, submitting a resolution to Parliament for the de facto recognition of a Palestinian state. Reports suggest that the upcoming bill will call for the end of the Gaza war, the unification of the Palestinian Authority across the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and Gaza, and the eventual deployment of Turkish troops to secure the new territory against aggression. If this resolution passes, it could signal a new era of unification in Palestine, potentially ending Israel's military occupation and oppression. However, there's a paradox in the robust economic relations between Turkey and Israel. The Sea Violet, an oil tanker registered in Malta, continues to transit about 40% of Israel's oil needs from Azerbaijan through Turkey without hindrance. Will this new resolution affect this trade? We'll delve into that later in the video. Help others stay informed by liking and sharing this video, and hit the subscribe button for future updates. The draft resolution for the new Palestinian state indicates that Jerusalem would be its capital. Hamas, recognized by Turkey as freedom fighters, along with a more organized military, will form the Palestinian army. New passports, stamps, and embassies are expected not only in Turkey, but also in countries seeking a fresh perspective on the Palestinian peninsula. The unverified report suggests that the draft resolution has been sent to major members of the UN Security Council, including Russia, China, France, Britain, and the USA. The visit of the U.S. Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, to Turkey is reportedly aimed at discussing Turkey's unilateral decision to pursue a Palestinian state without input from other regional powers, including the Arab League. However, Turkey's frustration with Washington was evident during Blinken's visit, with Erdogan choosing to travel elsewhere, leaving Blinken to meet with the foreign minister. Ahead of Blinken's arrival, demonstrators rallied outside a U.S. airbase in southeastern Turkey, prompting Blinken to issue a warning, suspecting external forces were behind the protests and attacks against U.S. troops in the region.
To anyone who might seek to take advantage of the conflict in Gaza to threaten our personnel here or anywhere else in the region, don't do it.
The rift between Turkey and the U.S. has deepened over time, starting with diplomatic hostilities in Syria, where the U.S. collaborated with Kurdish fighters against ISIS. Turkey views the Syrian Kurds as an extension of the Kurdistan Workers' Party, designated as terrorists by the Turkish government. President Erdogan's rhetoric, especially since Israel rejected a ceasefire for humanitarian assistance to Gaza, has strained relations further. Erdogan has even referred to Hamas as freedom fighters, not terrorists.
Ve Hamas bir terör örgütü değil, topraklarını ve vatandaşlarını koruma mücadelesi veren, evet, bir kurtuluş ve bir mücahitler grubu.
More cracks in relations appeared after Russia's military operation in Ukraine. Turkey, wanting to mediate, faced contention with NATO over the accession of European nations like Finland and Norway. While Ankara has agreed to disappoint its Russian friends by allowing these nations to join NATO, Washington has yet to fulfill Turkey's desire to see an end to Kurdish fighters in Syria and Iraq. Ankara is notably displeased with the procrastination by the U.S. Congress in finalizing its $20 billion deal for 40 F-16 fighter jets. Despite Turkey's significant role in the NATO military alliance, Washington hesitates to conclude the deal due to concerns about Turkey's close ties with Iran and the potential use of the warplanes to threaten Israel in the event of a military intervention in Palestine. Despite these tensions, Turkey maintains a robust trade and military relationship with Israel. This somewhat scandalous connection is influenced by NATO, which regards Ankara as a strategic hub for its early warning systems and coordinates for operations in the Middle East. distant from threats posed by adversary forces in West Asia. Turkey was in fact the first Muslim-majority country to recognize Israel's sovereignty over the former Palestine. While Turkey has rejected military cooperation with Israel under the leadership of the more conservative Muslim Erdogan, NATO's radar system critical for Israel's security is still managed and allowed in Turkey. This system enables Israel to detect rockets fired from anywhere in the Middle East against it. If a Palestinian state is declared and diplomatic tensions arise with Israel, Turkey may choose to remove this radar system from its sovereign territory, significantly impacting Israel's military defense and maneuverability in the region. Despite the appearance of being anti-Israeli to the broader Muslim community, Ankara has maintained its oil and metal trade with Israel. Even during Israel's military operations in Gaza, Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian urged Turkey to sever not only diplomatic ties, but also its flourishing oil trade with Israel. Israel's oil imports, transported by the Sea Violet, an oil tanker registered in Malta, continue to flow through Turkey. The tanker recently transported 1 million barrels of Azerbaijani crude from Turkey's Mediterranean oil hub port of Ceyhan to Israel's Eilat port. Approximately 40% of Israel's annual oil consumption is met by crude piped to Ceyhan for onward shipping, making Turkey Israel's sixth largest export destination. The primary exports include chemicals and oil distillates. Interestingly, Turkey purchases high-tech defense equipment from Israel, while Israel, in turn, sources military boots and uniforms from Turkey. In essence, the supply of military gear, such as boots and uniforms, can be viewed as tacit support for the Israeli army and its operations in Gaza. Despite this, Erdogan has received praise for being the only Muslim leader since assuming office to vocally criticize Israel and implement stringent measures, including the suspension of military agreements in September 2011. Since March 2010, Turkey has frozen 16 defense contracts worth billions of dollars, including the suspension of a $5 billion deal for 1,000 Merkava Mk3 tanks. Additionally, Turkey opted out of bidding for the Israel Aerospace Industries Arrow 2 anti-ballistic missile system, valued at $2 billion, allowing only US, European, and Chinese companies to participate. Simultaneously, extensive protests have persisted in Turkey in response to the ongoing bombardment of civilian areas in Gaza. Turkish police employed tear gas and water cannons as hundreds of people at a pro-Palestinian rally attempted to storm an air base housing US troops. Notably, the IHH Humanitarian Relief Foundation, an Islamist Turkish aid agency, organized a convoy to travel to the Incirlik air base in the Adana province in southern Turkey. This protest aimed to voice opposition to Israeli attacks on Gaza and US support for Israel. Incirlik, previously used to support the international coalition fighting ISIS in Syria and Iraq, also accommodates US troops. The IHH's protest called for the closure of Incirlik. Footage from the protests depicted police firing tear gas and using water cannons to disperse crowds, waving Turkish and Palestinian flags, engaging in chants, and clashing with police in riot gear. If you find our updates informative, show your support by liking and sharing this video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to stay informed about the latest developments in Palestine. Until our next update, take care.